ASMR Lady Lucidity Art. Hello there my lovelies. For today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make a Maleficent headpiece. If you'd like to follow along at home, these are the materials you will need for this make. So it's very simple and an effective way of making a good Maleficent costume part. I'm actually going to be using this in a photo shoot in a couple of weeks' time, so it'll be exciting to show you the pictures. First of all, you will need a headband of some sort, a sharp pair of scissors, some clear sticky tape, some black electrical tape. Duct tape works just as well, but electrical tape is usually thinner so you can get better definition. A paintbrush, doesn't have to be as big as mine, but a paintbrush. And finally you'll need some cardboard tubing. So I've got two sorts here. Most of you are probably familiar with these. They're just toilet roll tubes, and you can use these as well if you don't have the thinner ones to hand. So these came out of some packaging and they're very rigid and good for this make. So all you need to do if you are using toilet roll tubes is repeat the process that I'm about to show you, but just use your toilet roll tubes. So it's really up to you. There's no particular preference on which one you have to use. So I'm going to clear this away and we can start making. So I shall see you in a moment. Here we have our headband and our two cardboard tubes. So I've broken this one just to show you how we're going to create the horns. And the beauty of these tubes is that you only need to put a bit of pressure on the lines there and they will break, so you can mould them. So just take that away. And here's the two that I've bent earlier. And if you were using toilet roll tubes, I'll just bring that in. You can still do this, you just have to change your method slightly. So here I've actually cut into a cardboard tube, so it's kind of like a spring now. And all you have to do when you're attaching it to your headband is just glue the bottom part and make sure you keep your curl really tight towards the top part. Okay, so on the bottom of my tube I have cut some slits all around, and this is so that I can secure it onto my headband. So when I tape it, it should be secure. So once you have your two tubes, you can start positioning them how you want, and this is where it gets a bit fiddly because you have to tape them while you're holding them. So in the movie, Maleficent's horns kind of point outwards and back, so I'm just going to bend it like that. And then basically to keep the shape, you're going to want to use your clear sticky tape around the joint parts to hold it in place, and also some additional tape on the base here so it sticks to your headband. So I'm just going to do that quickly and then I shall move on to the next stage. Okay? Now we have our structure for our headpiece. So it should look something a little bit like this. You can see I've used a lot of tape, and that is for two reasons. One, so that it's structurally sound and solid, and also to use as a sculpting tool to make sure that all the joints are bending the right way. Okay, so once you've got this part, you can start to decorate if you just want the horns. I'm going to make a little piece of the front, quite similar to the piece that Angelina Jolie is wearing in the film. However, she is actually wearing a full head covering, and I don't want that. I'm just going to do a little bit at the front, so just move that to one side. And if you want to do this extra step, you're going to need a very thin piece of cardboard, or just some card, crafting card will do, and you want to make it into sort of a shield looking shape. You also need to measure this part out a little bit, just to get a rough gauge on the head sizes, and also to make sure that it fits in your headband. Okay, so what you're going to do next is you're going to want to tape that in just to secure it, so I'm just going to do that. Now that is secure, you should have something that vaguely resembles this, and a good reason for using very thin cardboard is that it's flexible, because this is going to be the part that comes down and rests on your forehead, so it's important that it's flexible. It's still a bit sticky. So here is our finished structure. Now you can cover it in several ways. You can use paper mache, ribbons, you can paint onto it, but as I said at the beginning of the video, you will need some tape, and this is primarily for the horns to get the effect we want. So you'll want to take your tape, just try and find the end. Okay, and you're going to want to start at the bottom and just wind your way up all the way to the ends. So I'm just going to do that on both sides, and then I'll decorate the lower part of the headpiece. So you should have something that looks like this. I've attached some extra black tape to my headband just to make it all one colour. Okay, so for the next part I've got some black acrylic paint, and I'm just going to paint the front part of our headpiece. So just move that out of the way. You can use poster paint for this if you want, as long as it gives a good thick coverage of your cardboard. If your paint isn't covering as well as you'd like, you can just paint an additional layer on, or you can actually paint your cardboard white first, and that way you've got a good base. Okay, so I'm just going to paint all of this. Make sure to get in between any gaps where the tape isn't showing. Okay. And I'm going to do the top side, let that dry, and I'm going to paint the underneath. I don't know if you can hear on the audio, but it's horrible outside. There's actually a storm going on, so the rain is being very noisy. Unless you like the sound of the rain. One of my favourite sounds is when the rain taps against my window, but it's being very loud today, so not quite as enjoyable. Okay, so just dab in between little gaps there. Okay, and just finish this side. Okay, so if I just hold that out quickly, that will dry matte, so I don't have to worry about the shine. However, if you want your front piece to be shiny like your duct tape, then all you need to do is mix about a teaspoon of glue, PVA glue, into your paint mix, and that will make it shiny when it dries. So it should look something like this. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to add my final touch. Now you should have something that looks like this, and it's all dried. So for an additional touch, I'm going to put some black sequins along the edge of the headband part. So I've got some little black sequins here. They are actually little bats, which I think are adorable. Okay, so just pop those down there. So I'm going to glue them individually around the edge, and then that should be our completed headpiece. So obviously you don't have to do this additional stage, but I like to, just to give it a bit of extra something special. So I'm going to do that, and then we will all be finished. Here we have it, our finished headpiece. I'll put some photos after this video so you can see what it looks like properly. So that was how to make a Maleficent headpiece. I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial, and as always I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.